Hello, welcome back. Have you ever faced something in life that made no sense at the time? A closed door, a sudden change, a painful setback, and only later did you realize it was part of a bigger plan? That's the mystery of God. He works in ways we cannot always see. And today, I want to share with you real-life stories that prove, again and again, that God truly works in mysterious ways. Life is full of moments we don't understand. Moments that make us question why certain things happen the way they do. But over and over, we discover that what seemed like disappointment was actually preparation. What felt like rejection was actually protection. And what looked like the end was only the beginning. A man once prayed for a new job for months. Doors kept shutting in his face. Rejections piled up. He started to believe maybe God wasn't listening. But months later, he finally got an offer. Not just any job, but one that paid better. One that matched his skills perfectly, and one that allowed him to move closer to his family. Looking back, he realized if God had answered his prayer earlier, he would have been stuck in something far less fulfilling. Sometimes, God delays, not to punish us, but to prepare us for something greater. In 2001, there was a businessman who missed his flight due to heavy traffic. Frustrated and angry, he thought he had lost an important opportunity. But the flight he missed was one of the planes that tragically crashed on 9/11. That inconvenience saved his life. At the time, he only felt frustration. But later, he understood. God's mysterious hand was protecting him. Have you ever prayed for a relationship to work out, only for it to suddenly end? It feels unfair. But many people later say, I thank God that relationship didn't work out because it made room for someone who truly loved and respected me. God doesn't just give us what we want. He gives us what we need. Before she became famous, J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter, was rejected by multiple publishers. At the time, it felt like endless failure, but years later, her books sold over 500 million copies worldwide. What looked like rejection was actually redirection. It was God's way of building her resilience, her faith, and her story. This is a reminder. Delay is not denial. God works in mysterious ways to shape us for the blessings ahead. A woman was diagnosed with a terminal illness. Doctors gave her months to live. Her family prayed and prayed. One day, during a routine checkup, her doctors were shocked to discover the disease had completely vanished. There was no scientific explanation, but she and her family knew God had worked a miracle in His mysterious way. Sometimes, God's mysterious ways are not grand or dramatic. Sometimes, they come in small, everyday moments. Like when you're late to work, and because of that delay, you avoid an accident on the road. Or when you lose a job, only to discover a new opportunity that grows you beyond what you imagined. Or when you meet a stranger at the right place and time, and that connection changes the entire course of your life. Coincidence? No, that's God at work. Abraham Lincoln lost multiple elections before becoming president. If he had given up, he would never have led America through its greatest trial. His failures were preparation for leadership. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison. Most people would call that wasted time. But it was in that prison where his vision and strength were forged. When he was finally released, he became the leader South Africa needed. God's mysterious ways often involve seasons of waiting, struggle, and even pain. But those seasons shape us for the future. Even in the Bible, we see this truth. Joseph was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, and thrown in prison. But those very hardships positioned him to one day save an entire nation. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before God called him to lead his people. Jesus' crucifixion looked like defeat, but it was the greatest victory in history. Now, you might ask, why does God work in such mysterious ways? Here's the truth. If everything made sense, if every prayer was answered immediately, if every desire was fulfilled the moment we asked, we wouldn't need faith. But faith is trusting even when we don't understand. Faith is walking through the dark, believing God is still leading us. And faith is the key that unlocks miracles. Maybe right now, you're in the middle of something confusing. Maybe doors are closing. Maybe prayers feel unanswered. Maybe you're wondering why life has turned out this way. But hear this. God is still writing your story. What feels like loss may be protection, and what feels like the end may just be the beginning of something greater. Trust Him. God works in mysterious ways, not always in the way we expect, not always in the timing we want, but always in the way we need. So the next time life doesn't make sense, remember these stories. Remember the delays. Remember the closed doors. Remember the miracles. Remember the protection. And know that God is moving behind the scenes. Your job is not to figure everything out. Your job is to trust Him. Because one day, you'll look back and realize everything that didn't make sense was part of a greater plan. If this message encouraged you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more motivational videos. And remember, no matter what you're facing right now, God is working in mysterious ways. Thanks for watching.